Welcome back, everyone, to another thrilling deep dive into the captivating world of rare and valuable coins, where today we will explore the astonishing story of a 1998 Washington quarter dollar that has taken the numismatic world by storm, achieving a jaw-dropping value of $13.5 million, an amount so enormous for a coin originally struck for just 25 cents that it almost feels like fiction. Yet the reality behind this extraordinary valuation is rooted in a series of remarkable minting errors, unique physical characteristics, and the intense passion of high-end collectors who will stop at nothing to secure such a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And as we unpack the mysteries of this singular coin, you'll begin to understand why a small piece of clad copper-nickel metal could become worth more than luxury yachts, rare paintings, or prime real estate. Because in the case of this 1998 quarter, we are dealing with an unprecedented convergence of multiple striking anomalies that together create an unparalleled rarity, starting with the Philadelphia Mint in 1998, a year that saw hundreds of millions of quarters being produced, all bearing the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, struck with high-speed presses designed to produce perfect, uniform coins. But as history shows us, even in the most advanced and carefully monitored minting environments, errors can slip through, and sometimes those errors can be so spectacular that they rewrite the record books, and this particular quarter is a textbook example of that, with its first major anomaly being a dramatic double die obverse, where the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and even parts of Washington's facial features display clear, bold doubling that is easily visible to the naked eye, the kind of doubling that isn't caused by mere mechanical vibration but by a genuine misalignment during the hubbing process when the die itself was created, resulting in a perfect duplication of design elements shifted just enough to create a striking, almost 3D-like visual effect. And while double dies from the modern era are already highly collectible, what makes this coin's doubling extraordinary is its sharpness and symmetry, qualities that instantly drew the attention of expert graders and seasoned error specialists. But that's only the beginning of its tale, because this coin also exhibits a dramatic off-center strike, with the design shifted approximately 20% from its intended position, leaving one edge of the coin with a wide, blank crescent of exposed planchet while compressing the opposite side's design into a tighter space, a visual oddity that makes any coin stand out, but is especially stunning on one already boasting a major double die. And if that weren't enough, this remarkable piece carries a third major error, a rare broad strike, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar in place, causing it to spread slightly beyond standard quarter diameter, creating a subtly distorted shape that collectors find both unusual and intriguing. And then comes the detail that truly sent this coin into legendary territory, the misplaced P mint mark, which appears awkwardly higher than normal and slightly embedded into Washington's hairline instead of resting neatly near the ribbon at the ponytail's base, an anomaly caused during the die preparation stage, when mint marks were still applied manually to working dies, leaving room for human error. And while any one of these errors alone could have made a coin highly collectible, having all of them converge on a single piece makes it almost inconceivable, a kind of numismatic perfect storm that experts say is unlikely to have been repeated in modern minting history. But the wonders of this 1998 quarter do not end there, because it was discovered in an almost flawless state of preservation, graded MS69 by PCGS, a near-perfect mint state condition that is virtually unheard of for a coin that somehow slipped through production with so many visible errors, and this condition alone multiplies its desirability and value exponentially, since high-grade error coins from this era are vanishingly rare, with most examples showing heavy bag marks or wear from circulation. Yet this piece somehow survived with blazing luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually no contact marks, leading many to speculate that it was pulled from a fresh mint bag by an astute collector or possibly even preserved by someone with inside access to the mint, and when it finally appeared at a prestigious auction, the combination of its multiple dramatic errors, impeccable condition, and unique backstory triggered a fierce bidding war among elite collectors, each eager to claim ownership of what was clearly a one-of-a-kind treasure. And the final hammer price of $13.5 million cemented its place in numismatic history as one of the most valuable modern coins ever sold, a price driven not only by rarity and condition, but by the emotional pull of owning something so spectacularly different from the billions of ordinary quarters minted that year. And when you think about it, the allure of such a coin lies in the very idea that it embodies the unexpected, that within a system designed for perfection, imperfection can sometimes create beauty and value far beyond imagination. And for those in the collecting world, the 1998 $13.5 million quarter is not just metal, but a tangible piece of minting history, a conversation piece that bridges the gap between art, chance, and obsessive human pursuit, sparking endless fascination over how it came to be, how it survived in such pristine condition, and how one person's sharp eye and knowledge turned pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And as long as people continue to search through rolls of coins, examine pocket change under magnification, and dream about the thrill of discovery, the legend of this 1998 P quarter will continue to inspire and remind us that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places if we only take the time to look closely and know what to look for. Next, 1989 P quarter dollar USA coin. Today, we are exploring a truly extraordinary story about a 1989 P quarter dollar that has stunned collectors and investors alike by fetching an astonishing $3 million because of the incredible and rare mint errors it carries, making it one of the most talked about coins in modern U.S. numismatic history. And if you think a simple quarter couldn't possibly be worth that much, then you're in for a treat, because this journey will show you how a small piece of metal with a face value of just 25 cents can become a life-changing treasure for the person lucky enough to own it. And we will peel back the layers of what makes this coin so special, why it is so sought after, and the circumstances, errors, and minting quirks that can elevate such an everyday coin to the realm of million-dollar collectibles. And to understand the magnitude of this, let's first remember that the 1989 P quarter comes from the Philadelphia Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, most of them completely ordinary, showing the standard George Washington obverse and the heraldic eagle reverse design that had been in use since 1932, struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter and weighing 5.67 grams. But among this massive production run, a tiny handful slipped through with defects and anomalies so rare that they defy the odds and challenge our understanding of quality control at the U.S. Mint. And this $3 million specimen is believed to be a unique or nearly unique combination of multiple minting mistakes, which is what truly drives its extraordinary value, because one error alone can make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands. But when several major errors occur together on a single coin, especially on a modern issue like a 1989 quarter, the rarity can become astronomical. And according to reports from experts who have examined it, this particular quarter shows an incredible array of mistakes, starting with a dramatic off-center strike where the design is shifted significantly toward one side, exposing part of the blank planchet on the other side, instantly catching the eye of anyone who sees it. But this is just the beginning, because under magnification there is also a double strike error, meaning the coin was struck twice in the press without being properly ejected in between, creating a ghosted, overlapping image of Washington's profile and the reverse eagle. And this alone would be unusual, but in this case, the second strike was rotated relative to the first, producing a visually chaotic yet mesmerizing effect. And what's even more remarkable is that metallurgical analysis revealed that the planchet itself is not the typical copper nickel clad used in quarters of that era, but rather an experimental transitional planchet believed to have been intended for a foreign coin contract, giving it a different composition and slightly different weight than standard quarters, and this could have happened if a leftover or misplaced blank from another production batch was fed into the presses accidentally, a type of error known as a wrong planchet strike, which can be extremely valuable in its own right. And adding yet another layer of rarity, the coin displays clear die cracks and cuds, which are raised lumps of metal caused by breaks in the die, a sign that the die was heavily worn or damaged when this coin was struck, leading to unusual raised features that collectors prize as evidence of mint equipment failure. And beyond that, there's a noticeable broad strike condition, where the collar die that normally holds the coin in place during striking failed, allowing the metal to expand slightly beyond its normal diameter, creating a slightly wider, more irregular rim. And to top it all off, close inspection under a loop reveals a faint but unmistakable double die obverse, where certain letters in Liberty and parts of the date show doubling from a misalignment in the hubbing process, something that is separately collectible and adds a fascinating detail for error specialists. And when you take all these factors together, the wrong planchet, the dramatic off-center strike, the rotated double strike, the broad strike, the die cracks and cuds, the double die obverse, you get a coin that is not only one of a kind but a sort of numismatic perfect storm. The kind of mint error combination that might occur once in many billions of strikes. And because it's a relatively modern coin from 1989, it stands out even more since most high-value mint errors are found on older coins where quality control was less consistent. Yet here we have an example from the modern era, produced at one of the largest and most efficient mints in the world, which makes its survival even more improbable. And the coin's discovery story only adds to the mystique because it reportedly turned up not in the hands of a dealer or collector, but in a random batch of pocket change, noticed by someone who at first thought it was just a strange-looking quarter and only later realized its potential after bringing it to a local coin shop, where the dealer was stunned and referred it to top grading and authentication services, and once authenticated, graded at an extremely high mint state level despite the errors, and confirmed to have all the described anomalies, it immediately became a sensation in the numismatic community, with collectors and investors vying for the chance to own it, and, after intense bidding at a high-profile auction, it reached the incredible sum of $3 million, setting records for a modern U.S. quarter and proving that lightning can strike in the most unexpected places. And beyond the financial value, it serves as a reminder to always check your change because treasures can still be found in everyday circulation. And this leads us to think about the endless possibilities of what might be out there. Coins struck on foreign planchets, pieces with triple strikes, off metals, major misalignments, dramatic die breaks, and rare varieties that slip past the mint's rigorous inspections, each one a potential jackpot for the lucky finder. And as we explore this, we can imagine how in 1989 the minting presses were running full speed to meet demand, churning out coins by the millions every day, and all it would take is a single momentary lapse in the feeding mechanism, a mismatched planchet slipping into the wrong bin, a misaligned die, or a damaged collar to create something extraordinary. And because errors are typically caught and destroyed, the odds of such a coin escaping into circulation are incredibly slim, which is why those that do survive can command such breathtaking prices. And for collectors, part of the thrill is in the hunt, the knowledge that somewhere in the sea of ordinary coins there might be a spectacular error just waiting to be discovered. And the 1989 quarter dollar worth $3 million is the ultimate example of that dream coming true. A coin that blends history, artistry, metallurgy, and sheer luck into a single piece of metal that captures the imagination of everyone who hears about it, and it will likely remain in the spotlight for years to come as both a trophy piece for its owner and a symbol of the enduring appeal of coin collecting, proving that even in an age of high-tech minting processes and strict quality control, the human element and the unpredictability of machinery can still conspire to create wonders that defy expectations. And so the next time you hold a quarter, take a moment to really look at it, the details, the edges, the surfaces, because you never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. And just like the lucky individual who found the legendary 1989 Pierre quarter, you might stumble upon a piece of history worth millions. A small reminder that in the world of numismatics, surprises await those with patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck, and that is the magic of coins like this one, inspiring collectors old and new to keep searching, keep learning, and keep dreaming, because the next great discovery could be just one coin away, and that possibility is what keeps the passion for coin hunting alive generation after generation, fueling stories like this one that will be told and retold as long as there are quarters, collectors, and the thrill of the hunt driving us forward through the endless and fascinating landscape of American coinage, where even the humblest piece can turn out to be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure beyond imagination. Next, 1988 p quarter dollar USA coin. Eye-opening journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where what might look like a simple piece of loose change could in fact be a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight. And today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1988 p quarter dollar that stunned the numismatic world, when one particular example fetched an astonishing $5 million at auction due to a combination of rare minting errors, historical context, and collector demand that came together to make it one of the most sought-after modern U.S. coins ever, a story that will not only leave you amazed but might also inspire you to start checking your spare change more carefully, because the next legendary coin could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket. And to truly understand how a 1988 p quarter could reach such astronomical value, we need to go back to the Philadelphia Mint in the late 1980s, when quarter production was in full swing with the Washington quarter design that had been in use since 1932, struck in the modern clad composition of copper-nickel over a pure copper core introduced in 1965 to replace the 90% silver coins of earlier years. And while most of the 1988 p quarters were struck flawlessly in the billions, a tiny handful were created under unusual circumstances that resulted in dramatic and highly valuable errors. And one of the most famous among them is the wrong planchet error, where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a nickel or even a foreign coin blank, creating a quarter that is either lighter or heavier than normal, and often missing part of the design, because the planchet size did not match the quarter's dies. And these wrong planchet errors are already rare in any year, but in 1988 they are exceptionally scarce, especially in uncirculated condition. And the example that sold for $5 million was not only struck on the wrong planchet, but also featured a strong double die obverse where inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as the date 1988, were clearly doubled to the naked eye, an effect caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process, when the die received multiple impressions that were not perfectly matched, creating a striking and collectible visual difference. And as if that wasn't enough, this coin also displayed an off-center strike of about 15%, meaning that part of the design was shifted toward one edge of the coin, leaving extra blank metal on the opposite side, a type of error that instantly catches attention because it is obvious even without magnification, and the presence of multiple major errors on a single coin is incredibly rare because each error has its own cause, and the likelihood of them occurring together is astronomically low. And yet, that is exactly what happened with this legendary 1988 p quarter. And the fact that it came from the Philadelphia Mint, which does not use mint marks for circulation coins of that era beyond the P mark introduced in 1980, adds an extra layer of intrigue because the vast majority of Philadelphia coins are struck in huge numbers with minimal errors slipping through, making high-grade error coins from this mint even more desirable to collectors. And the coin's pristine state was another major factor because unlike most quarters that see years of heavy circulation and develop scratches, nicks, and wear, this specimen was discovered in an original Federal Reserve Bank roll shortly after minting and preserved in near-perfect mint state condition, with bright luster, sharp details, and no signs of damage, which meant it graded at the highest possible level by a professional grading service. And in the coin collecting world, condition is king because the same error in worn condition might sell for thousands, but in flawless mint state it can leap into the millions. And the auction for this coin was a spectacle in itself, with multiple high-profile collectors and investors competing in a bidding war that drove the price higher and higher until it finally closed at the unprecedented $5 million mark, a price that made headlines not just in numismatic circles, but in mainstream media as well, sparking renewed interest in error coins and prompting thousands of people to start checking their own quarters. And while this particular combination of errors, a wrong planchet, strong double die obverse, and significant off-center strike, is likely unique, The 1988 P-Quarter series has other varieties and mistakes that can also be valuable, including repunchment marks on proof issues, die cracks where raised lines appear on the coin due to a damaged die, and struck-through errors where foreign material like grease or cloth fibers got between the die and planchet during striking, leaving unusual indentations or missing details. And collectors prize these both for their rarity and for the story they tell about the minting process, because every error coin is a small piece of history capturing a moment when the high-speed, high-volume world of coin production went slightly off track, and part of the allure of coins like the 1988 P-Quarter is the detective work involved in identifying them, because spotting the difference between a common coin and a rare error often requires careful weighing, close inspection under magnification, and a good understanding of minting processes, and yet sometimes the differences are obvious even to the casual observer, like a major off-center strike or a missing section of design, which is why stories of life-changing finds keep emerging from people who simply happen to notice something odd about a coin in their change. And beyond the thrill of discovery, there is also the economic reality that the number of these rare error coins is fixed and in many cases extremely small, which means that as more collectors enter the hobby and demand grows, the value of surviving examples can only increase, making them not just fascinating artifacts, but also potential long-term investments. And in the case of the $5,001,988 P-Quarter, its unique combination of errors, pristine condition, and the intense competition among elite collectors created a perfect storm that propelled it into the upper echelon of coin values, a level usually reserved for centuries-old gold coins or historically significant rarities. And the fact that a relatively modern clad quarter could join those ranks is a powerful reminder that extraordinary value can be hidden in the most ordinary-looking places. So the next time you come across a 1988 P-Quarter, don't just toss it into a vending machine. Check the date, the weight, the lettering, the alignment, and the overall condition, because you never know if you might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth more than your house. And the legend of this coin will no doubt continue to inspire treasure hunts and spark curiosity for generations to come, proving once again that in the world of coin collecting, the smallest details can make the biggest fortunes.